Hey, welcome back. It's been a minute. It is Friday, September the 4th of 2020. Happy Labor Day weekend to those of you that are off for 3 days and celebrating. I am not. So here I sit, right? Turn this off. Alright, you guys saw enough of my smiling face for the night. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here. Everybody's talking about it. Civil War in America. For those of you that are repeat offenders and were subs on my old channel, I beat this to death ad nauseum as to how I thought it would play out. The short version is, I was right. But being as there's no video evidence to back it up, you're going to have to take my word for it. So recently we've seen what amounts to, or what I think amounts to, the opening shots. So the whole Kyle Rittenhouse situation, followed up by get him. Followed up by the Portland incident. The federal park rangers just nailed somebody. Sucks to be them. That's why I don't speed here. Anyway. The Portland POS, there's video that's circulating around. Somebody took it and dissected it. The video that the original cameraman shot. And it looks like something out of a mob hit from like back in the day. With the addition of digital video, of course. Guess they wanted to save that one for posterity. If I remember, I'll link it in the description. And the gentleman that sent me the video, John at Alpha Charlie Concepts, gentleman is a relative term, John. Just remember that. I had said to him, I'm like, damn, I'm glad these idiots only watched old mob movies instead of reading a book or two about the IRA. Those were some brutal insurgents. That's essentially what we're dealing with now, is an active insurgency. They're conducting hits on public streets, which to me appears what that was. That is an active insurgency. That's not a random act of violence. That's not a mugging. That's not two people getting into a fight and one shooting the other. That's not a self-defense scenario. That's straight up assassination of a political opponent. In the public eye for the purposes of creating fear. So that's terrorism in its most base definition. It's also an insurgent tactic. And yeah, the guy got smoked by the marshals. But those guys, having worked with them in the past, are zero fucks given. Right? You pull a gun on a marshal, somebody's not walking away from that interaction. They don't play. And they are not what is perceived in any way, shape, or form as a political arm of law enforcement. They have a very specific mandate in what they do, and they do it very well. Those are the guys that captured Eric Frayne after he shot those two troopers in my neck of the woods here. Now, that being said, you're not going to have the marshals show up everywhere and save the day in every situation, because there are not many of them, for one, and for two, it wouldn't be a very effective insurgency if everywhere these cats did something, the federal marshals showed up. In an ideal world, since the feds are the only ones that seem to want to prosecute these fools, yeah, that would be great if everywhere these cats did something, the federal marshals showed up and scooped them up. Oh, and for the Black Lives Matter crowd, the guy that we're talking about was white. Just saying. The guy the marshals killed was white. Just saying. Put that one out there too. Troopers. Good. Now, there was the incident in Portland. There was an incident in D.C. not all that long ago, in the last couple of days. Where these guys seem to have the backing of the left-leaning mayors. And if they continue to do what they do on a small scale, you know, as a one-off here, there, but with no great, I want to choose my word carefully, with no great efficacy or enthusiasm, I guess, is loosely how I want to term it. Their insurgency isn't going to be very effective. Yeah, they might make you think twice about walking out into the public in Portland wearing a MAGA hat, maybe in D.C. in some pro-right-wing gear, but I have zero issue with walking out my front door in a MAGA hat if I choose to do so. Now, that said, I'm sure there are some local twat waffles that will have something to say about it, but they will not do anything because they're not a part of said insurgency, or they haven't nutted up enough to become a part of it in the way that these real true believers of communism and anarchy have. With that being said, it wouldn't surprise me if stuff like this started happening in areas where you didn't necessarily expect it to happen. Violence against political opposition, violence against law enforcement, things like that. I have one sergeant that says I'm crazy for driving to and from work in uniform. So be it. There hasn't been anything like that in this area on the scale that would make me nervous enough to want to hide who I am and what I do. But as this progresses, I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of thing upticked and became a little bit more prevalent in rural areas and suburban areas. Because I'm in one of those unique places, right? We've discussed this in the past. I'm kind of where the rural meets the suburbs, depending on who you talk to. They might say I'm suburban, they might say I'm rural. I say it's where one meets the other. And creates this wonderful, magnanimous place where heroin addicts go unchecked and city folk think they're superior. Regardless, the thought of IRA style tactics being employed in my neck of the woods is really a fear-invoking thing. And that was one of those things I said to John in that text message stream of, man, when I said I'm glad they hadn't started using IRA style tactics. Like, there's nothing that puts fear into a man more than wondering if a nail bomb is going to go off next to his patrol car, or wondering if a nail bomb is going to go off next to my truck in the driveway when I get into it because somebody knows what I do. But it hasn't happened yet in my neck of the woods. So it's not a motivator, it's just something in the back of my mind. And it should be in the back of all your minds too. That eventually these fools will graduate from a random assassination on the streets of a left-leaning city, where this guy probably would have gotten away with that had it not been for the feds, to we're just going to start to spread this love around, if you will, to areas where people won't see it coming. To areas where people are so consumed by the monotony of their daily lives that if/when something like that happens, like, oh my God, that just happened. But there'll be a sitting duck for it because the monotony of their daily life has put them in an unaware situation. So 13 and a half minutes in. What's the takeaway? You're in an insurgency. It's active. Has the Civil War gone hot? I'd say it's warm at this point. I would definitely say warm. Be aware of what's going on around you. Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Because the worst is always one of those things that happens when you least expect it. Anyway, 14 and a half minutes of me going on and on. Be safe, watch your six. Out for now.